right. Hello, hello. Leslie M. Thornton, Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss. Today we have one of my favorite people on the planet, actually, Jay Williams. Yes,
Hi,
absolutely. Thank
Leslie.
you for being here. Yeah. So Jay actually is one of my point coaches with the business coaching that I do. And I have learned so many amazing things about how to be able to make a bigger impact doing hypnosis for permanent weight loss, as he has done phenomenal things with the two gyms that you own, I believe, one in
Mhm.
London and one in the United States in
Yep,
California.
in
Is that right?
California. Yep.
Awesome, 100%. And I'll just read a snippet. So, Hale Fitness is the name of his gym, right? Or gyms. Both of them are called Hale
No,
Fitness.
one is called Hale Fitness. That's California gym. The one in London is called Fortitude Fitness.
Ooh, Fortitude Fitness. I love it. Can't wait to hear about it. And can we talk money? Multi-millionaire with those? How do we describe?
Yeah, I think, let's see. If I add up everything, we've done about 5 or 6 million at the gym in London and about 3 to 4 million, depending on where we are this year, at the gym here in California. So,
Awesome. Fantastic. So, yep, think numbers make a difference. And obviously, to get to that place, like he had to do a lot of self development and all of the inner work. And his journey actually started out with his actually having a knee injury. Is that right?
yeah.
And that caused a lot of weight gain, which we were just looking at one of his before pictures. You were 350
315
pounds,
pounds. Yeah.
fit
Yeah.
315 pounds, believe it or not, which I can't even believe that looking
Yeah.
at Jay Williams today. And that's the only way that I've seen him.
I,
Yeah,
I will
and
say I'm
really,
not small, but I'm a
okay.
lot less than 315 pounds now.
That okay, you're right, because definitely being fitness, you got to still have that weight there. And I met you, and you definitely have some nice bulk to you in the positive ways for fitness. So yes, thanks for clarifying that. He's not small. That's true. Yes, so Hale Fitness, and there it is, the Fortitude Fitness in London, founded by Jay Williams and his lovely wife Tina. I love this. I have to read it. As a kid, he was inspired by pictures of Arnold Schwarzenegger in the fitness mags to ride his bike to the gym every morning before school at 4 a.m. to pump iron. Years of training like this didn't leave him looking like the Terminator, but it did get him in decent shape for basketball, which became his first love through college. And yes, the story goes on after that. And the reason why I'm excited to have Jay here for you, because something that I've seen in following our graduates as they've gone throughout the Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss program, the Mastermind program, and beyond, is that they are now feeling ready to actually take it to the next level. Now, little asterisk, little disclaimer, you need to know for yourself when you're ready to really authentically take on a different health endeavor, like maybe a personal trainer, or to like get back into exercise once the diet mentality stuff is kind of gone away
Yep.
and you feel like you have healed up those parts of yourself that maybe feel like a failure, I'm not good enough, et cetera, et cetera. um, I'm thinking of one client in particular, and she really did. She just felt inspired to take her health status to the next level, and still said how the foundation work that we do here was necessary for her to be able to take that on in a way that didn't feel bad, but rather inspiring and good. So I know that Jay being here is the perfect person to chat with you about all of that kind of stuff. And I think, Jay, if you wouldn't mind, what I'd love to have you share first is a little bit more about that significant, sounds like turning point when you had that knee injury and gained a bunch of weight and what that time was like. And the reason that I'd like to start there is because I definitely have worked with a lot of clients who they were extremely physically active athletes, whatever, and then they end up with an injury. And because of that, they can't work out, which was like the source of their mental like
Yep.
stability. Like it was like what they hung on to. And even in my path, like I didn't play basketball for 1 year when I was 14 or 13, and I gained a bunch of weight. And on top of that, I also started feeling kind of depressed, and I didn't really relate it to the fact that
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wasn't moving as much. So if you wouldn't mind sharing about that, I think that would be really helpful.
Yeah. So, I guess the thing is, when I was a teenager or when I was a kid, my parents are pretty busy and didn't have a lot of time to make dinner. So they'd cook like once or twice a week. We'd have McDonald's like 3 or 4 times a week. And so I just developed a lot of like kind of unhealthy habits. So when I was a teenager, I was pretty overweight. I wasn't 315 pounds, but I was pretty overweight. And I just started playing sports, and basketball was the thing I kind of gravitated towards. and a little bit of football and stuff like that. But basketball was the main thing. I also kind of got a growth spurt. So like at the same time I started to get a little more athletic, I grew. So I all of a sudden I wasn't like this fat pudgy kid. I was like this long lean kid. And so I just kept doing that. And I kept eating the same way,
Mm-hmm.
right? I kept the same eating habits. Look, it's really so easy to blame your parents, but like now that I have kids, it's like, yeah, I totally get it. But like basically, I played basketball every day. When you're a teenager, you can play for like 6 hours a day, and and then you can like crush three cheeseburgers and everything's good, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of my habit. And I, took that all the way sort of through college. At the times I couldn't play basketball, I would be running or, like you read, like I'd work out just to try to get better at basketball. It was clear I wasn't going to make it to the NBA. And I was playing some pickup game and someone ran into my knee and I got like an ACL surgery, right?
Mm-hmm.
The same time I got that surgery, like when I was recovering, I also got this great job. But that job had me sitting behind a desk. So then I had this full-time job and I was full-time finishing my degree, had to recover from an ACL surgery, like just stopped doing stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And stopped exercising. I started going to more of the happy hours and stuff with work. And I was making good money, so then I get to go to like nice restaurants. I used to only go to like Chevy's and stuff. And so now I could go to like nice restaurants and it was just one of those things. I look back at my wedding photos. I was about 300 pounds when I got married, and I weighed myself one day, maybe I don't know, at first anniversary, second anniversary, and I was 315 pounds, and I was thinking, man, when I used to play basketball, I was like 170 pounds. For reference, I'm about 6 feet tall, and I'm pretty big guy in general, but like 315 pounds was way too much. And I just started trying everything I could think of, right? My diet, I had kind of figured out that eating McDonald's every day wasn't that great. So I started like trying a few different things. This was a long time ago, so the paleo diet was pretty popular. So I just kind of like, oh, let's not eat sugar. I'll just cut out this, that, and the other thing, and that made me feel a little bit better. I tried like boot camps, like where they would have me running 3, 4 miles every morning and doing like lunges and stuff like that, which in theory is great, but when you are 100 pounds overweight, like running 3 or 4 miles is not that pleasurable. Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, I went to the local gym and signed up with a trainer, and like I didn't know that much about training, but I knew that this trainer wasn't going to do it for me because they had me doing bicep curls and stuff, and I'm like, I need to lose weight. I don't need to do bicep curls. I don't care what size my biceps are anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept trying things, and I finally found, at the time it was a CrossFit gym, and it felt like a little bit like playing basketball. Like you do these workouts, and the workouts are a little bit challenging, and it was what was interesting about this is I started to feel a little bit of like that athletic thing again, that
Mm-hmm.
like competitive thing again. I was the slowest. I was the worst at everything, right? The only thing I could do was lift heavy weights. But I just found that I started to look forward to going. And because I signed up with the idea that I was only going to do it for a month and then we'll see how it goes. And after a month, I still was the worst at everything, but I was like, I kind of like this. Like it actually makes me want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just kind of stuck with it. And because I started with the training, I eventually started making tweaks to my diet so that I could get better at the training. And I looked up and like 3 months went by, I lost 40 pounds. And I was like, oh, this is actually working. Like I can, I feel like I'm going in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, that was sort of the beginning. And then I actually moved to London and I had to kind of do it on my own. And so, I ended up losing 100 pounds total, but the next sort of 60 pounds took me another 2 years because I didn't have like any accountability. I was showing up to the gym, doing it by myself. I was like, I had all this like sort of controlled environment. and then I had to sort of figure it out on my own.
Mm, absolutely. Yeah, which can definitely make it challenging. And I want to just go back a little bit, Jay, to your story. So I'm curious because to me, you're always like super chill, like your energy, like you're very expansive. I love being with your being. It's amazing to be with you. When you were 315 pounds or 300 pounds to your wedding, and you saw the scale say 315, I mean, were you just as chill, or was there ever a time when you were like, something's wrong, panic?
Yeah. So to be clear, and this is, I think a lot of people need to hear this. My wife looks at photos of when I was 300 pounds and she goes, "Oh, look, like you were so cute then. Like I loved you then and I love you now." Right. And that
Mhm.
was something, we've been married now for, I don't know, 16 years, long time, maybe longer. I don't remember. But,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
like, it's just a reminder to me that like having that sort of support and someone that accepts you unconditionally makes a huge difference. Right.
Okay, pause because that's huge. Now we get to take this turn, which is amazing. Because Jay, recently I've been sharing that I made a large investment in a matchmaking service
Mm,
because there's a lot of reasons for my making that decision, but everything that I invest in, I always, when it's my next level, right, of like going after what I know that I really authentically for myself want in my life, I always know that my stopping point is always the majority of my clients' stopping point.
mm,
And so when I got really real with myself, I'm aware enough to know that my relationship with myself equals like the partner that I'm going to attract. And so
mm.
for myself, my journey has been like, if I'm not happy with my body and my weight and my food, then I'm going to attract a partner who probably also either has an issue with it for me, or is going to help to heal me from that, or is going to have an issue with that themselves. So it's just like my journey equals, it's always reflected
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
And so it's like taking it chunk by chunk of being like, okay, I need to heal my relationship with my body and with food, which meant that I had to start going deep the way that our hypnosis for permanent weight loss clients have to do, to like look at like, oh, I internally have like a pretty crappy dialogue with myself of saying like, you're a failure, what's wrong with you,
Yeah.
like, and having to like change the way that I'm thinking in my mind, right? And then going to that next thing, and just seeing over and over again my clients having things at the end of the day with like, I ultimately want to be in a fantastic relationship, or
Yeah.
currently that relationship isn't exactly what I'm looking for. So just like for you to then to have your path be a little bit different, where it's like you had that partnership where it was like someone unconditionally loved you exactly the way that you were first, that kind of gave you the like whatever support or ability to continue growing and healing and whatever. So that's different than my path, right? Like I've had to find this,
Yeah.
peace in my body first and then the relationship part after. So I'm curious, like, was it by chance that you met your wife and that situation just happened, or
Uh,
how would you
yeah,
piece
I
that
mean,
together?
like, we met. So I've known my wife now for a long, long time. I'm not going to tell you how long because it's going to age me, but since high school, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And it was a blind date, and we just like, I won't say we like hit it off, but we were like, we got along pretty good. And there was ups and downs at the beginning, but like it got pretty clear at a certain point that this was the person for me. And that had nothing to do with like, how I felt about myself or anything like that. It was just like, I really enjoy spending time with this person. I continue to enjoy spending time with her. And there were certain things that she was doing that inspired me, right? And
Mm.
vice versa. Well, I don't know, ask her. She might not tell you that, but vice versa. And so like I think by the time we got to that point where we were married, we were together for a long time. And it was just like, there was no question of whether we were going to accept each other.
Mm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But, so, and it was never really a discussion. It wasn't like, oh, Jay, you need to lose some weight. Right. It just never came up. Right.
Nice. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the thing is, even if I like have a six pack, she's like shoulder shrug. She doesn't care.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? And
Hmm.
I never realized that that was unique until I started to have that conversation with other people, and they were like, "Yeah, my wife's always like, telling me I need to lose weight or whatever." I'm like, "Well, my wife doesn't tell me any of that stuff. This is awesome." Right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think what I discovered really early on, maybe the first 2 or 3 years we were dating, is that she's going to accept me no matter what,
Mm.
and she's going to support me no matter what, and we kind of moved forward like that, and we had lots of ups and downs and lots of changes in our life, right? So,
Mhm.
yeah, does that
It
make
does.
sense?
What I'm
Yeah,
hearing is just that it's the acceptance of all the different aspects and not trying to fix or change one thing about you,
yeah,
which lets you just be on your own path and have that backing that allows you to keep going.
yeah. And
Amazing.
I recognize that that is very fortunate. I'm very lucky, but I also recognize that, like, I chose that, right?
Mm,
This was the person that I chose, and obviously she chose me, right? So,
yeah, absolutely.
so
Yes.
I will tell you though, going back to what you asked me, what happened was I was full-time school, full-time work, I was married. There was a bunch of like opportunities and stuff, and like life was kind of stressful. And I found myself in the emergency room one day because I had chest pains, right? And this was when I was 315 pounds. And I saw the doctor, and he was like, dude, it's just stress. And he also was like, you're really young to be in here in the
Mm,
emergency room talking about chest pains. And he didn't say like you need to lose weight, but it was kind of like a wake up call, like, hmm, this is not the path I want to be on, right? I'm not even
mhm.
30 years old yet, and I'm already in the emergency room. This is not like I could see myself ending up here with a real problem if I don't make a change,
Mm,
right? And so that kind
absolutely.
of that kind of led me to the path of like I need to do something about this. And when I say I tried everything, like I tried a lot of different things to find something that was sort of a match for me, something that I was
Mhm.
willing to show up for and willing to do.
Yeah, and I love that you had the ability to like try out all the different things. And, just before that, I'm glad you shared about the hospital experience because my experience working in the hospital and seeing people like you come through the door, and taking care of them and being like, wow, like people don't tell you this that, I'm having people day after day being 50 years old saying, if I only knew that this was going to be the outcome of my life based on
Yeah.
all of my life choices, I would have done so many things differently.
Yeah.
And like I remember thinking to myself, like I wish every human being had to spend like at least a week in the hospital
Mm,
and just like talk to these people who
yeah.
because of these things, right? And then my seeing all these patients who like it was like diabetes that led to their amputation or led to their kidney disease
Yep.
and led to their passing away very young. At the end of the day, it was all because of lifestyle habits and things like that after I had known about the hypnosis, I felt bad for them because I'm like, it's not their fault, like some of
Yeah.
these people were really genuinely trying to get healthy, which I can hear that you did after your hospitalization of like,
Yeah.
I'm going to find a way.
Yeah.
And luckily you got lucky enough before it turned worse, you know? Um, yeah. And it's like, it was a mind thing. It was like really
Absolutely.
something that was mentally attached.
Yeah. So two things on that. One is like my dad is dealing with some of that stuff now, and it's like I can sit there and talk to him all day about like, hey, these are the things to do or whatever. But what I realize is like, he chooses what he wants to do, right? And look, at a certain age it gets harder, but you still have the choice. And if he chooses like, to like not do what the doctor says or whatever, then that's okay,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
At the time, I just thought, well, look, I'm not even 30. Like, I'm hoping to live a good long life and, be very active. I have to make this change. So the second thing was that doctor that I saw when I was 30. So a lot of stuff happened. I moved to London, did all these different things. I didn't see the doctor again for 11 years.
Mm.
Okay. When I went back to see that doctor, he recognized me and he was like, what did you do? Because, I lost 100 pounds, right? And he's
Wow.
like, I see people all the time. I tell people that they need to make changes and nobody does it. And like, like whatever you're doing, keep doing it because it's absolutely working. Like your blood pressure's lower, all this stuff is lower, and you're 10 years older than you were before. Like we need to bottle that up and share it with people. And I said, oh, well, I happen to own two gyms. That's what I do.
Wow.
But
So
you know,
amazing.
it was eye opening because like to have a doctor say that, and he sees tons of people, like you said, you're a nurse, like you see tons of people, and you probably do make recommendations like that, and you'll see those people, you know, 5, 10 years from now, and things have gotten worse. And you
Absolutely.
know, you you know, if you have a choice, try to be one of those people that the doctor says, "Hey, I can't believe you did this. Nice job."
Absolutely. I mean, it's amazing. And I have a story from a client who was kind of the reverse of that, where like every time she go to the doctor, and this is usually a category my clients fall into, is like they're trying to do all the right things, right?
Yeah,
They're going to the gym and they're, you know, they're trying all the things and like do of like what it takes to lose weight. And they're not making any progress and they haven't found their CrossFit, you know, like
yeah,
they haven't found their space, which sometimes, you know, they find hypnosis for permanent weight loss and it becomes that for them. Yay.
yeah,
But for this one woman, her doctor is actually keen enough to say, you don't actually need, it's not about the weight loss for you.
mm,
Like, this is, you need to go way deeper within yourself
mm,
because
hmm,
you're keep coming back here all the time. You're keep talking about it. But like, she could sense that underneath the surface of that, there was other things, other emotional baggage, maybe past, you know, wounds or traumas or whatever that were in the background that she needed to clear in order for everything to start lining back up. So what I'm really hearing and inspired by with your story, Jay, is like you had your own path. Like you made your internal decision. Like you're
yeah,
like, this is what's true for me. This is where I want to go and I'm going to make it happen. And so I think that's the important message for people to take away is like, feel into like, what is your truth? You know, like
yeah.
what door do you keep knocking on that's not working? And how do you actually like honor what is actually true for you? And how do you support people in like knowing their own authentic truth, Jay? And do you
Yeah,
agree with that?
that's a great question. So here's the thing, like, and I know, you know, your hypnosis for permanent weight loss, like losing weight just to lose weight sucks. Like
Yeah.
like it just
Yes.
sucks. Like,
Yes.
you know, if the scale goes down, then you're happy, and it goes up, then you're unhappy. Like, and it's like, it just sucks.
Yep.
And I think that's why all the stuff I tried before I found something I enjoyed didn't work, is because I really wasn't motivated to lose weight, right?
Yes.
It's like that is a great byproduct, right?
Yes.
But I just knew that I could feel better, and then I would look better, and I would, you know, be able to do more things, right? So the way I support people, the way I like to think about this is really there's only, in my mind, there's only three things that people want when they walk into our gym, right? And every other thing is like a variation of those three things. So one, they want to look better, right? So that would be like, you know, hey, I want to fit into a dress, or I want to, you know, lose some weight or get a six pack or whatever. Two is they want to perform better, right? Maybe they're winded when they walk up the stairs, or maybe they want to do their first 5K or something like that, right? And then the third is they want to feel better, right? And for different people, those things are going to be weighted differently, right? When you're 21 years old, if you live on Miami Beach, it might be more about how you look,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
You know, if you are a professional or a competitive athlete, it might be more about how you perform, right? As you get older, and even when you're younger, it really is more about how you feel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I find is that to have long-term success, it has to be mostly about how you feel,
Yay.
right?
Yes.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
like looking great and performing great, doing cool things, like that's cool, right? But feeling better every day is what's going to keep you on the path, right?
Mm.
You know, and when I talk about like, you know, we don't like our gyms used to be CrossFit gyms. We're not CrossFit gyms. Like CrossFit is just a thing,
Mm-hmm.
and I enjoyed that thing. So I would feel good showing up every day and doing that thing, right?
Yes.
Now I
Mm-hmm.
only do it a couple times a week, but you know, I walk and I do yoga and I do the other stuff. Like I just want to feel good every day, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And that, you know, for me, it started with the movement practice
Mm.
because I was, you know, I did that kind of movement when I was growing up. and I always felt good playing basketball. But now it's like the movement is like one A. The
Mm.
nutrition is actually the first one because there's certain things that I eat that make me feel good and other things that don't, right? And so I
Yes.
tend to sort of avoid the things that don't make me feel good and gravitate towards the things that make me feel good, no matter how they make me look or perform. Because if I feel better, then the rest of my life is better. Does that make sense?
Yes. Oh my God. Yes, absolutely. And that's exactly, and like, I think the most important thing for all of us and all of my clients are usually, business professional women. And, having that consistent energy day after day to show up for your family,
Yep.
for your significant other, for your clients. It's like there's nothing more important than that because it's like we can't do, in my opinion, the thing that human beings most like actually makes them happy is being in service,
Yeah. Yeah,
is
absolutely.
like making that your day-to-day life. And so it's like, how can we, yes, like make choices that just makes it so that each day of my life I am feeling good, have energy, it's staying consistent so that I can consistently be reaching that. And we do so much work on, how does this food actually make me feel, and like going through a process, because with diet mentality, it's like we know what foods are bad and
Yeah.
wrong and
Yeah.
this and that. It's like, but just having other people tell us this and having doctors tell us this day after day doesn't really make a difference, right? Like our clients are
Yeah.
still like way overeating on these foods or overindulging, sometimes binging or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and it's like, first we need to like take all that away and you actually experience for yourself, like, okay, have that Kit Kat bar for dinner.
Yep. Yep.
Right. And then notice, like, how am I feeling? How does it impact the rest of my day? And it's like, you know what, I felt pretty sluggish. So then the next time you automatically are making a choice, like, I don't want to have that.
Yeah.
So then it ends up being through experiment, like, yes, a salad with protein is like exactly what I actually want, because you were really looking for, how do I satisfy the way that I want to feel after for the rest of the stuff that I have
Yeah,
going on in my day.
exactly. And to be clear, Leslie, like when I kind of got into that stuff, like I started as after I got a little bit of like progress, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do all the things, right?
Mm,
So, I did competitions. I ran a marathon. I, did Spartan races. I did all kinds of crazy stuff. I was like, I think I measured it. I was like almost 40% body fat somewhere around that time, maybe 45% body fat. I got down to 8% body fat, right? Like I did all of those things
hmm.
and it was like I ticked off those boxes and it
Yes.
didn't make me happier, right?
Yes. That was what
It
happened
was
to me
there was
too.
some fun
Yeah.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like
Hmm.
doing the London Marathon was super fun, except at the end when I was super cramped because 200-pound 6 foot tall dude is not meant to be like running fast marathons, right?
Oh my
You
gosh.
know, so like I did. There was some stuff that I'm proud that I did that was fun, but like ultimately some of it got into the realm of like, okay, this is unhealthy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like to push the limits as you know, and I'll push
Same.
the limits and I'll be like, okay, that's a little bit unhealthy. Let me back off of that, right? Let me go into this other thing. I want to push the limits of that. Like I learned how to swim so I could do a triathlon, all of that stuff, right? And almost drowned a couple times,
Mm,
right? I pushed that limit and then backed off. And I realized like ultimately you can achieve these goals, but it's about how you feel every day that gets you long-term sustainable results,
oh,
right?
yes.
And having gone through just about every type of diet that you can think of, like the pain of like being miserable and like grumpy with your people and all that other stuff is not
Mhm.
worth it in the long run, even if you get there to your goal in the short run, right?
Absolutely.
And so
Yep.
like this whole thing about this sort of diet culture and I need to do all of these things to like get this result, like you'll get there. It doesn't matter. Like
Yep.
it's not going to make a difference. Actually, it would have been better if instead of giving yourself 3 months, you gave yourself a year and you actually enjoyed that year and you had a sustainable thing that you could keep doing.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I talk a lot about the difference between like with diet mentality, it's like you have 24 hours to be perfect, you know, and it's just like
Yeah.
that, like clenching and that, you know, like gotta cross that finish line. And then it's like that, you know, whatever willpower fatigue or whatever we're going to call it, like by 2 p.m., it's like you're binging on the cake or whatever
Yeah,
because you can't
exactly.
do it anymore.
Exactly.
But really encouraging our clients to like look at your entire life as this beautiful canvas that you get to paint. And like, it's like, can be like all sorts of things. It can be beautiful, it can be splotches,
Yep.
whatever. It's just like, but the mural that you're painting all together is just like something that you get to look back on and be like, that is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And talking about how like I just heard someone say this recently yesterday or something, but I heard it before of like when you're being buried and like they're looking at your body in the casket of like, oh, you know, Jay Williams, he always had the perfect body. Right. It's just like, who says that? Like, is
Yeah,
that
no
what
one's
you
gonna
want
say
to
that.
be known for?
Look at
Right.
that six
Versus
pack on
it's
that
like,
cadaver. Like,
yeah, it's like nobody really is thinking about that. But it's like literally when that is somebody's only focus, it's like your relationships are you're gonna have to have isolated yourself from
yep,
your family, your friends, like had
yep,
to not participate in social things, right? Like whatever you're doing, that's like making sure that yes, you're hitting the goals and that's cool. But like, what is the impact of also not having this balance and that year long getting to look back and say, look at the relationships that I created, look at
yeah,
the family that I have today, look at the right. And then like, and this is the body that I have in order to uphold this beautiful canvas that I'm painting every day.
yeah, absolutely. My wife told me once, she's like, because we've been through this together. She said, you know, if if whatever I'm doing doesn't allow me to have wedding cake at a wedding, I'm not going to do it. And
Yeah.
it's just like that has always stuck with me because you know the way I eat now is like most of the time I eat the way that I'm you know that I've set for myself to eat, but I
Mm-hmm.
always give myself permission to have wedding cake at a wedding or
Yes.
you know a Halloween candy that I stole from my kids' bags,
Yep.
you know,
Yep. I just had some
because
last night.
because
Yep.
otherwise what's the point?
Absolutely. And when we don't do it, in my experience, it's like I end up way overdoing it on that stuff later in like some weird way. It's like, oh, I'm not going to have the cake at the wedding. And it's like I'm at the drive through or like ordering DoorDash after with like something way worse than that. It's
Yeah,
like
exactly.
honoring that what you actually want to have in that moment. So, I mean, Jay, it sounds like you've literally mastered intuitive eating for yourself without calling it that
I would not call it mastered. I'm
necessarily.
still on the curve, but it's what it is for me is that like I mean I have this history. Like I could put on 100 pounds. Like I know that I
Mm,
can do that. I
mhm.
also know that our eating environment as a whole, at least in this country, the US, isn't great, right? Like there's hyper palatable foods and stuff that make it like hard for you to have restraint, right?
Mm,
And so I just created enough sort of boundaries for myself to where
mm,
if I go outside of those boundaries, then it's like, okay, yeah, let's get back on the path. But they're not so strict that I am stressing myself out because I
mhm.
actually think that the stress from having to stick with something it actually hurts more than going off of it a little bit. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that said so much when you just gesture like, okay, let's just like come on back.
Yeah.
Because to me, that shows that there's like a compassionate part of you that's just like, okay, Jay, like, come on. Like it's not like, okay, like if you had said like, all right, dude, this is getting way off the handle. It's
Yeah. Quit
like,
messing
okay, there's
around.
some
Get back. Yeah.
fear that's there, but
Yeah. Yeah.
like, so did you have to do work on like your inner voice, kind of like I had asked in the beginning of
Yeah.
like being compassionate to yourself and not making
Yeah.
yourself wrong or
Yeah,
bad?
definitely. Like, and the way I do it is a little different. Like, I'll take actions, and then I'll see. For me, it's like, okay, I'm feeling this certain way. Like, there's always a level of pain sometimes when you try something new.
Yeah.
But if I'm trying something new and it's like 2 weeks in, and I'm like, this is not working for me, then I will step back and make changes, right? And
Mhm,
so I kind of give myself I play both sides, right?
mhm,
It's like I'm still the guy who's willing to try all kinds of crazy stuff, right?
mm.
Not everything, but I'll try I'll try
Yeah, yeah,
enough
yeah.
crazy
Mhm,
things, but I will check in with myself. I have this sort of 2 week rule. Like I'm willing to try anything for 2 weeks, but after that 2 weeks, I make a decision. Am I going to stick with this, right, until I get to whatever goal, or am I going to do something that maybe fits a little better with my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And more often than not, I just choose the thing that's going to fit better because the result based goal, at least when it comes to fitness, is not really as important to me as maybe it was 15 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's really more, am I sleeping well? Do I have energy to play with my kids? Can I, still lift some weights? Can I, you know, whatever? Can I run if I want to? Or do I get winded when I walk up the stairs? If that does, if I'm feeling good, then I don't make changes.
Yes.
If I
Yes.
don't feel good, then I'll start to make little tweaks and, maybe get a little more narrow in my focus.
Absolutely, which I think kind of goes into just like the success principles, of like actually what it takes. And what I'm hearing is that, you're using yourself as that science experiment, which I tell my clients to do all the time. Like
Yeah.
just treat yourself like a science experiment.
Yeah.
Just try this, for a little bit and see how it feels. And if you don't like it, you can make some adjustments and we're here. We've got your back to change it if you need anything. So, but yeah, to just do that. It's like, okay, I'll try anything
Yeah.
that like resonates with me. But then if it's not going to feel good after a little bit of time, like just kind of adding it all in and taking the data and making tweaks and keep going, which that's that growth mindset.
So one thing that I think will be really helpful is, especially when I was 315 pounds, and I'd look at the scale and it would definitely make me feel a certain way. And what I realize is like me feeling bad about myself never helps me reach any goal, right? It never, not for any goal that I've had. And I always have something going on. Me feeling bad about it never helps. Like instead of feeling bad, what I do is instead of having it be a 3 month goal, I'll make it a 6 or a 12 month goal. I'll just push the timeline out and I'll be
Mm,
like, okay, I'm going to make this really easy. Instead of like being perfect and hitting, 1500 calories or 2000 calories or whatever thing you're doing, let me just eat a healthy breakfast for 2 to 4 weeks. And then after that, I'll maybe add in a healthy lunch. And then I'll add in maybe a healthy dinner. But oh, the healthy dinner got too hard. All right, let me back that up. And I
yeah.
just push the timeline out and it brings the whole stress level down. If you are really struggling with eating and you eat a healthy breakfast for 2 weeks, you're going to feel successful.
Mm,
And
yes.
so I just, you try to make it easy and small and simple, and then just sort of grow from there. Once you start to see progress, you're going to go, yeah, I definitely want to do the healthy lunch. I lost 2 pounds of the 100 that I need to lose just eating a healthy breakfast. Great. Let me eat a healthy lunch now. Maybe I can lose another 2 pounds in the next month or two, you know?
Yes. Oh my God, it's such a good strategy. I love a couple things. Number one, like nothing ever happened from me being hard on myself or being upset at myself or anything.
Yeah.
Yes, so true. And it's like, okay, so if that, like, that's not going to motivate you. And every single person that comes through our doors, like, they're beating themselves up and they're still trying to lose weight on top of that. And it's like, it's not going to
Yeah.
happen. You
Yeah.
need to
Yeah.
work on this beating yourself up. And I love this strategy of let's push the time way out.
Yep.
And then something I talk about is integrity, and like when you just simply do something small that you say that you're going to do, it's almost like I hear you, like, it's like you're tricking yourself a little bit. Like, okay, honey, like, let's just take breakfast. Like, let's just
Yeah.
do a little bit of breakfast every day. And then it's like those little things. And then as soon as you can be proud of yourself, of just like look at something that, like, yeah, I did that. Like, yeah, I did that, which is another trick of, having that more self-compassionate self-talk or just like motivating self-talk is just
Yeah.
like, what's the little thing that you can say that you're going to do? But most of my clients from Diet Mentality, it's black and white thinking,
Yeah.
pass or fail. So
Yeah.
they're looking at their day and they're like, they forget about the fact that they had breakfast, they did a healthy lunch, they worked out because they had Doritos after dinner. It's
Yeah.
like, we
Yeah.
failed, forget it. I hate myself. Like the whole thing starts when in reality, it's like you forgot to look at all the other things that you did.
Yeah.
So, and I think I've seen before, Jay, that you like track like the
Yeah.
things that are
I was gonna show
successful
you.
that you do. You're just going to
I have
show.
tracking. Like I still do this
Yes.
stuff to this very day. Like all, I have like 10 or 12 things that I track, and most of them take me 10 minutes or less. And every time I check off that I did it, it's like a little win. Because
Mm.
you said it was a trick. Actually, it's the only way I get anything done.
Mm.
Like I'm basically celebrating myself every day 13 times, right? Because there's 13 things on this list in addition to all the other stuff. And like all I need to do is do that for about 4 or 5 days, and I am on the path, right? I've got, you could see my bookshelf. I've got years of journals like this. And I would say it's the number one key to me being successful is just, or any success that I've had is just little wins that I can celebrate every day. And the less focus I have on the goal and the more focus I have on the process, the happier I am and the more quote unquote success that I find. Right.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. And we have our clients track their wins on a regular basis, like success journaling, all that kind of
Yep.
stuff makes a huge difference. And just like, okay, like, yay, and I like that there's a coloring component because I
Yeah.
feel like it probably makes the inner child a little happy too. Like, yay, we get to use different colors today. Fantastic. Love that you're doing that. Um, yeah. And then just building up. And I would imagine, because this is what I see in my life, and it's like that spills over into every other aspect of your life as well. It's like almost like you're creating this habit of being happy and seeing yourself as progressing and doing well,
Mm-hmm.
which then has you be able to be successful in other areas. Can you speak on that?
Yeah. So the reason I started my gym is because I lost 100 pounds, and I realized that losing 100 pounds is not about losing the weight. It's about how you feel afterwards, right?
Mm.
It's like how you feel about yourself, not afterwards, but just like how you feel about yourself. And so what we say is when you feel strong, capable, and confident, you live a better life, right? And so like I just look at it like this. Whenever things are going a little bit off for me, I just bring it back to how am I eating? How am I sleeping? How am I training? Like, am I doing those three things? Like, and training could be walking for 45 minutes, or this morning I did yoga, right? If I'm doing those three things, then the rest of life starts to kind of flow,
Mm.
right? If I'm not doing those things, then for me, everything eventually grinds to a halt. Like I can power through for a little while, but I have to drink a lot of coffee and do all this stuff that's not really healthy
Mm.
long term. So when I find that those three things are in balance, then my business starts to do a little bit better. Then my relationships are better. Then I call my mom more often.
Mm.
Like I do all these little things. Like I show up as a better version of myself.
Mm.
And honestly, Leslie, at this point, I don't care. I don't care what I weigh. I haven't stepped on the scale for a while. I do it because if I do these things, then I can show up as a better version of myself for you and for the other people that I work with. It's almost like a community project now, you
Mm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
And not that I beat myself up if I don't.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like I feel like I'm a better version of myself because I take care of myself, and it brings me that little bit of confidence that I need to show up as the best version of myself. And that's really the goal, right? No
Mm-hmm.
one cares how much you weigh. No one really cares what you look
No,
like,
no.
right? They care how you make them feel. And if you
Yes.
have energy and you feel great, then you're going to make other people feel great.
Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Oh my gosh, exactly. And just that little habit of celebrating the little successes and just being aware of like sleep, taking care of your body in whatever way and whatever is like the side effect is weight loss. If there's weight that really needs to be lost, like you don't even
Yeah.
need to worry about that when you're focusing on it's about how I'm showing up. It's about because if you're lost in your head and you're in this black and white mindset of like, oh my God, have to focus on that goal. It's like you're not being with people.
Yeah.
It's like you're not able to really be present. Like Jay, you're one of the most present people that I know, and it's just
I
like,
appreciate you saying
how did
that.
he become that way? It's like that's the transformation. Like that's what's gonna make people, but like we have to get ourselves out of the way. And these little things of just like looking at how you are doing well, tiny little things, and like taking care of yourself just minimally,
Yeah.
right, it's all that we need to make life work. And again, the weight loss is like the side effect of that. And you're
Yeah.
right, nobody does care.
Nobody cares. And look, I've worked with, at this point, thousands of people around fitness, right? And there's always ups and downs. It's just a matter, like, when people have the downs, that's when, like, if you just focus on those little things,
Mm,
like, it'll get you out of those downs,
yes.
right? And if you're out, and this is why, some of our people have been working with us for 10 years, right? This is why they do it. They don't care how much they lift or anything like that anymore. They're just like, you know what? I show up and I feel good here every day. And anytime they don't feel good, they definitely let me know about that. But
Mhm.
if they feel good, then they'll keep coming. And it gets them through stuff in life. And
Yes.
that's actually why I still own the gyms. Like, I don't really spend much time there, but it does make a difference for people. And, like, I love being a part of that for people, right?
Mm,
So
absolutely. And I got the chance to meet a couple people on your team and can say, like, I know that whoever you're attracting to be part of that is going to have that, and we talked quickly before we started about, the 5 people you hang out with the most, is like who you become. And so if people all kind of have that value, or way of showing up where it's like, I just did a podcast interview right before this one, and she was just like, because I was asking about, the initial conversation we had that had her know she wanted to be part of this. And I thought it was really around like how I was really able to find like what was really at the source of her weight stuff for her. And she was like,
yeah,
you heard me.
yeah,
She's like, you actually saw me, you heard me. Like, and like if I knew that I needed that, like if you could see
yeah,
me that well on the first call, like what else could be possible? And I think what we're really talking about is just like being loved and like
yeah,
being in that space of love and presence and people who are just like vibrating at that space is like that's the weight loss answer.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
master that vibration and like it's all good, like
Yeah,
really.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And and the funny thing is, if you have 100 pounds to lose, like, if you just show up for a week or two and you lose a half a pound, it's enough to change your energy to where the other 99 and a half pounds kind of don't matter. you know?
Yes. Oh my God. Such a good point. Yep. As long as you're feeling better on a day to day basis, it's like, then we don't like, we got, when people start a program, they're like 8, 9, 10 emotional attachment to food. By week 2, they're like a 4, 3, 2, 1,
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
like, why is that? It's like, oh, well, because you're starting to implement these tiny habits and being around other people that care about you and you can share yourself authentically. And like, now you're feeling good because you're connected to that,
yeah,
and now we don't care about the weight as much anymore. It's just like, how do I keep that feeling going?
yeah, yeah. And then
Mm.
as you focus on providing more energy, it's like, look, frankly, if you're in better shape, you'll have more energy, right? And so as you start to pursue that goal of having more energy, you
Yes.
naturally will get in better shape, right?
Yes. Exactly. It's like all about like just chase the feeling, just chase the way that you want to feel
Yeah,
and trust that by following that, like, and I say to my clients, like, I don't care, like, if it's genuinely authentic that like having a cocktail is like the feeling, like you feel into yourself, it's Friday evening,
yep,
you like whatever, and that's the way that you want, like, chase that feeling. Like,
yeah,
how can you trust the fact that like what you actually authentically desire is going to lead you where you want to go?
yeah, yeah,
And just have
exactly.
every decision be like that. It's like, on Monday, you may not want to be doing that because it's like, do you want to feel that way for your meeting the next morning? Maybe not, and
Yeah,
it's just like being aware and making choices based on that, the way you want to feel.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you. That was awesome. I love that we just got into the
Yeah,
quantum
we could probably
field of
talk all
talking
day, I
about
think, about
love.
this.
I don't know that we need to talk anymore because we just got to the love vibration. And that's like at the end of the day, it's what it's all about. And it's what I love the most about you, Jay. And I really appreciate that you're always bringing that here and all the work that you've done on yourself to get to that point so you can make such a big difference for all of us. And yeah, just thank you so much for what you do.
I
And
appreciate that.
yeah, like you make an amazing impact on the planet as far as I'm concerned, just because you're in charge of a lot of people and that trickles down that love effect. And I really believe that's what changes the world. So really, thank you so much. I'm so
Amazing. Well,
grateful you're
thanks for
part of my
thanks for
life.
having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on. Thanks for the idea to come on. And yeah, for anybody who wants to find out about Hale Fitness or what you're up to, where can they find you?
Yeah, so let's just say this. Like this journal that I told you about, I'm gonna do a little video about it. So go to my YouTube channel. By the time you publish this, then I'll have it up. It's just Jaydwil. You can
Oh,
check
I
that
love
out. So
that. Jaydwl. We'll make sure that's in the show notes. And I'm sure everybody's going to be Googling that because you're amazing, including myself. Jay, thank you. Thank you so much.
all right, thanks, Leslie.